In the dusty outskirts of Mesa, where narrow alleys wound between mud brick homes and the scent of fresh roti lingered in the evening air, lived Amelia, a quiet but determined 17-year-old. Her world was small: a courtyard shaded by a neem tree, a two-room house that echoed with family voices, and a modest government school a 30-minute walk away. For years, Amelia had loved learning. Numbers felt like puzzles waiting to be solved, and books opened windows to places she could scarcely imagine. Her teachers often said, "Amelia, you ask questions most adults don't think of." Yet outside school walls, tradition whispered a different script. Her father, a fruit vendor who worked long hours in the bazaar, carried the burden of feeding 5 children. Her mother spent each day cooking, mending clothes, and worrying about dowries for her daughters. In their neighborhood, girls rarely studied past the 10th grade. Better to marry early, neighbors would say, before a girl's honor becomes a risk. When Amelia completed her matriculation exams with top marks, pride flickered across her father's tired face. But soon after, an elder aunt visited with a proposal. A distant cousin, 10 years older, wanted to marry her. "You'll be comfortable," the aunt insisted. "Education can wait, marriage cannot." That evening, Amelia overheard her parents discussing dates for the wedding. Panic clawed at her chest. The thought of leaving her school, her books, and the dream of becoming a teacher felt like being buried alive. After everyone slept, she sat under the neem tree with her notebook and wrote in a trembling hand, "I will not give up my education." The next morning, she approached her father as he prepared for the bazaar. Her voice quivered but held steady. "Dad, I want to continue my studies." "Please don't marry me yet," her father frowned. "Amelia, we can't afford college fees. And people will talk." "What if—" "I'll teach tuition to younger children," she interrupted. "I can pay for books. I just need your permission." Silence stretched between them. Finally, he sighed. "Let me think." Days passed without an answer. Meanwhile, relatives began dropping hints about the engagement. Some mocked Amelia's ambition. "Why fill a girl's head with useless dreams?" One neighbor scoffed, but Amelia refused to retreat. She visited her school principal, Mrs. Emma, who listened intently. "Your marks are excellent," the principal said. "There's a scholarship for bright girls. I'll help you apply." Armed with this possibility, Amelia approached her father again. "If I win the scholarship, the fees will be covered," she pleaded. "Just give me one chance." A month later, an official letter arrived. Amelia had earned a full scholarship to the local college. Her father read it twice, his eyes softening. "Perhaps God has a plan for you," he murmured. The marriage proposal quietly dissolved. College, however, was another battlefield. Each morning she left home before dawn to tutor neighborhood children for a small fee, then caught a crowded bus to campus. The ride was long, and the stares from strangers uncomfortable, but she endured. At college, she faced skepticism from classmates who assumed a bazaar vendor's daughter couldn't keep up. Some professors underestimated her because of her modest clothes and hesitant English. Yet Amelia thrived. She stayed late in the library, borrowed used textbooks, and spent nights memorizing lessons under the dim light of a single bulb. Her perseverance began to pay off. She topped her first-year exams and earned a small stipend for academic excellence. With part of the money, she bought her younger brother a set of geometry tools. "Your turn is next," she told him. Just when life seemed to stabilize, a new challenge arrived. Her father fell ill with a persistent fever and weakness. Doctor visits drained the family's savings. He could no longer stand long hours at the fruit stall. Suddenly, the burden of supporting the household fell on Amelia's shoulders. Relatives renewed their pressure. "Now you must marry. How will you survive otherwise?" Amelia wavered but refused to abandon her education. She increased her tutoring sessions, sometimes teaching late into the night. On weekends, she helped a neighbor sew clothes for a small wage. Sleep became a luxury, but she kept moving, driven by a quiet conviction that education was the surest path to lift her family from poverty. In her final year, Amelia discovered a teaching internship at a reputable private school. The interview panel was skeptical. "You have no professional experience," one administrator said. Amelia straightened her shoulders. "I have been teaching neighborhood children for years. Their parents can vouch for me, and I've maintained the highest grades in my class while working 2 jobs." Something in her steady gaze impressed them. She was hired part-time, the modest salary enough to cover household expenses and medical bills for her father. Her internship became a revelation. Standing before a classroom of eager young students, she felt a surge of purpose. Every lesson she delivered was more than grammar or arithmetic. It was proof that girls like her could chart their own destiny. When the day of her graduation finally arrived, the courtyard of the college buzzed with celebration. Amelia wore a borrowed black gown and a bright blue scarf. Her parents stood in the audience, her father leaning on a cane but smiling proudly. As her name was announced among the top graduates, Amelia walked across the stage, tears blurring her vision. She thought of the neem tree where she had once scribbled her promise to herself, of late nights and whispered doubts, of neighbors who predicted failure. After the ceremony, her father pressed a hand to her shoulder. "Daughter," he said, voice thick with emotion, "you carried us all. Today, you have honored our name." Rather than seeking a lucrative job in the city, Amelia chose to return to her old government school as a teacher. She wanted to inspire the next generation of girls who, like her, might be told their dreams were impossible. Every morning she entered the classroom with a quiet authority that silenced even the most restless students. "Education is power," she told them. "It's the key no one can take from you." Word spread through the community. Parents who once scoffed at educating girls began enrolling their daughters. Amelia organized weekend study circles and convinced local officials to provide free textbooks. Slowly, the culture of the neighborhood began to shift. Years later, when Amelia established a small scholarship fund for promising girls, she named it the Neem Tree Trust, in honor of the nights she spent planning her future beneath its branches. Her story became a local legend, not because she sought fame, but because she embodied a simple, defiant truth. Circumstances can dictate hardship, but they cannot define destiny.